What determines the price of local SEO? How is it calculated? And what do you need to know before hiring your SEO agency? Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm the founder and director of JC Surge. We work with local contracting businesses across the country to help them generate more leads and increase online visibility through SEO. And in this video, I'm going to be answering the most common question about SEO. How much does it cost? How much do you need to spend on SEO in order to start seeing results? So the first thing that you need to consider is, who are you competing against? Now, I know that this might be a bit of a funky question to ask because you may not immediately know who you're competing against. You see, you might know your competitor down the street is, your competition, but what about the people that are ranking number one in your area? This could be your city, your town, your whole state, or even a portion of the country if you're dealing with a lot of offices and a lot of different locations. So you really want to settle down and think, who are you competing against in your area and who's ranking already? This is what's going to determine a lot and basically the bulk of your SEO cost. For instance, if you're competing in a city with maybe a population of 200,000 people and you're trying to rank for electrician in, let's say, Toledo, Ohio. I think that has a population of a couple 100,000 in comparison with, electrician Miami, Florida, right? Or electrician in New York, right? There's millions of people that live in New York City. So if you're trying to rank in that area, it's going to be a lot harder than somewhere like Toledo, Ohio, for instance. So you want to consider who exactly is ranking in your area and what phrases are you trying to get calls for. For instance, let's take a look at the electrician example. If you're an electrician and you're trying to get phone calls for when people search up electrician near me, you might be able to rank on the first page, but you're dealing with Yahoo, or not Yahoo, Yelp, you're dealing with Home Advisor, you're dealing with Angie's List, you're dealing with other directories, you're dealing with the companies that spend thousands of dollars on advertising every single month. So it's going to be very difficult to outrank them. Now, if you have the money and if you have the budget and you know that 100 or 200 people every single month are, 200 people are looking for that phrase, electrician near me, it might be profitable for you and you might actually want to rank for that if you have the money and you have the commitment that's necessary to rank high for that phrase. However, if you are on a bit of a tighter or a smaller budget, you might look at what are called industry-specific phrases. So, for instance, electrical panel upgrade near me, or electrical troubleshooting near me, right? These are phrases that are more specific, something like sewer repair or emergency heating repair near me, right? They're very specific and usually they're going to be a lot easier to rank for. So if you are on a smaller budget, then you might consider asking your agent or consultant or whoever will be doing the SEO, hey, what are some specific phrases or easier phrases we can go after that might help me reduce the cost? At JC Surge, if you're looking to, let's say, rank for just something like AC repair or emergency AC repair near me, chances are your quote is going to be a lot less than if you're trying to rank for, HVAC or plumbers or electrician near me, right? Because again, hundreds of people are searching for just that, service, but there are also a fair amount of people that are searching for the specific service that they need, and those tend to actually have higher conversions. So definitely consider who you're competing with when you are getting your quote or when you're looking at what to expect from an SEO price. The next thing you want to consider is, how old is your domain? Older domains tend to rank faster and they have more trust with Google and Bing and other search engines. The reason being is because, again, if you've been around for 20 years and your domain has been there for 20 years and it's been active, chances are Google's going to trust you more than the guy who just opened up his shop with a domain that's been around for maybe 3 weeks. Now, this isn't to say that you will rank automatically and that you're going to significantly beat your competition within 30 days or 50, even 60 days, but this is to say that it will be a factor to consider. If you have a really old domain, you might be able to knock off $100 or $200 because, again, if you have a newer domain and you're competing with an older domain, let's say the guy that's ranking number 1 in your area has a domain that's been there for 20 years and your domain has only been there for 5 years, then your team is going to have to basically pump out more content, build some more links, and do some more work. And that's why the price increases. The third thing you want to consider is how many pages do you already have? Because again, if you have a few pages while your competition has maybe 100, 200 pages of articles, location pages and all this stuff, then your team is going to have to work really hard to get more content, more articles out, more specific keyword pages and stuff like that. So they're going to have to put in some more work, and that's one of the reasons why, for instance, if you have 3 pages and your competition has 50, you might end up paying maybe $1,200, $1,500 a month for SEO. That being said, if you do have a lot of pages, but they're all really poorly optimized and people have to navigate through them, the site hasn't been updated in 5-10 years, it's possible that your quote is also going to be higher. Because again, the person that works on the site is going to have to learn the site. They're going to have to get into a new environment. So in some cases, again, depending on the competition and some other factors, you might actually get a lower quote if you have very few pages, because everything is so new, and it doesn't matter if we tinker with new things and try new things out, and we don't have to navigate a whole sea of already existing content. So again, consider how much content you have, how it's structured, and stuff like that. The next thing you're going to also want to consider is how old is your website, and not so much the domain age, but when was the last time you updated it? What is the design like? Is it modern? Is it responsive? Does it look good on a mobile device? When I look up your site, is it going to appear nicely, and is it going to have a good layout? Am I going to have to struggle, looking for the contact information? All of this stuff is very important, and a lot of people overlook this when it comes to SEO. It's that, we're not just doing technical stuff and throwing keywords in there. We're doing a lot of marketing and a lot of design work. Because at the end of the day, think about it when you are looking for a service or a restaurant, you're looking to go out to eat and you're trying to find stuff, the menus, vegan options, low carb, any sort of thing that you're looking for. You want your answers up front. You don't want to have to think. There's a great book called Don't Make Me Think, and it's a great book on marketing. And basically, you don't want to make a user think. So if your website is out of date, it has a poor design, the layout doesn't make sense, you are going to probably need a website revamp. And this can cost you a couple $1,000s. Because if you decide, well, I don't want a website redesign, we just don't want it, we just want the SEO, we just want that, that's not how it works. Okay, and in most cases. In some cases it can work. If the competition is very low, there's not much work involved, it's possible to redo it, to do the SEO without really touching much of the site. But in most cases, you're going to want to have a responsive design, clean and cut modern design. You're going to want to have, clear call to action, lots of buttons that you can click on, when you're on the phone, you can just click it and then ring up, the electrician or the contractor, whoever they're trying to get in touch with. And this is going to play a big role in your price, because some agencies are going to charge you maybe $2,000, $5,000 up front to redo the site. Here at JC Search, we actually build that into our pricing plan. So if you spend $1,000 a month and that's your quote, the first month we basically try and wow the customer and show them, hey, this is the site that we can design. And then over time, as they stick with us, that little bit of what would overall maybe be $5,000 is kind of separated over that long period of time, because we are confident in our ability to retain our clients and to show them, hey, we can actually do the work and we can impress them. So at our agency, the cost is already built in. However, in a lot of other agencies, you might be quoted higher, and so just keep that in mind when you're shopping around for an SEO quote. The fifth thing you want to keep in mind is, are you looking to rank in the Google Maps section? Once again, we built this into our package and into our campaigns, so you don't have to worry about it so much. But in many cases, albeit not many actually, just in a handful of cases, depending on the industry that you're in, you might really benefit from being in the what's called Google 3-pack, where there's the listing of all the businesses and stuff like that, because that's where all the phone calls are going to go. More so than organic, more so than advertisements, they're going to go into the Google Maps section. So if you rank high there, you're going to get more conversions and ultimately more leads and more jobs. So again, you want to consider that does your agency, or is your agent, or is your consultant quoting you with Google Maps included or not included? Because if it is included, then you might be paying a little bit higher of a premium simply because it's built in. And if it's not included, then you may not have the benefit of getting all the phone calls from Google Maps. So just keep that in mind when you are shopping around, again, for an SEO consultant or agency. And the last thing you want to keep in mind is how much content do you have? Do you have, paragraphs and texts? Do you have videos of your team? Do you have photos of your staff? Do you have photos of your office, crew members on the job? If you have a lot of content, chances are your quote is going to be a little bit less. And the reason is because, having dealt with clients like, plumbers and HVACs, I got to call them up sometimes and say, hey, do you have photos? When you're on the job, can you snag us a couple of photos and stuff like that? And that takes time for me. That I have to worry about organizing stuff. I have to worry about keeping tabs on who sent me photos from what and who and where. And this is going to be a bit of a difficult task. It involves a lot of organization and management. And then you might think, well, why is it so important? Well, again, content is a real killer when it comes to SEO. If you have photos of even your receptionist or dispatcher, or your crew guys, the account managers, the founders, and so it adds trust, and it almost always drives higher conversions from when people land on your site to picking up the phone and calling you. Because of course, I want to see what you look like before you enter my house. Before you step foot in my home, I want to know what your team looks like. And even just hearing your voice on a video or seeing photos of guys working out in the field, it adds trust. Even FAQs, it really helps build more trust to the site, and ultimately your SEO campaign is going to have you're going to see a lot better results with it. So I hope that this video explains, the main 6 factors that go into quoting people when it comes to local SEO. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to us at info@jcsurge.com, or you can visit jcsurge.com and learn a little bit more and see how we can help your contracting business. Thank you.